Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Animal-Based Dad podcast. This is the show where between my guest interviews with subject matter experts and topic-specific deep dives, the aim is to arm you with actionable insights and information on how to prioritize your metabolic health and improve your overall health and well-being. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Animal-Based Dad podcast. I'm your host, Ricky Duplessis. My guest today is a friend of mine who runs in very similar circles, both in terms of nationality, but also in terms of the health and wellness space. Christine Van Tonder, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're most welcome. Most welcome. Christine, I wonder if you wouldn't mind, just for the audience sake, giving a little bit of a background story to yourself. Who are you? Where have you come from? How did you get involved in the health and wellness space?
Okay. So, quite a long story. I have been in the wellness space as a practitioner, and now I'm supporting practitioners in their systems and automation, so automating business processes. So that's not for today. Today we're talking about wellness and health in general. So I had my own health challenges, quite a road to get where I am now. I was gaslit by health professionals, ignored, pushed to the sides, said your symptoms are normal. Like that's just the spiel they give you if they can't help you. They say it's normal for your situation. So I don't like that word at all. I tell my clients and I tell my friends, normal doesn't mean anything. It just means many people in your situation experience that exact same symptoms.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's healthy or right for you to be where you are. So I went basically the origin story of this whole thing was that I went on birth control way too young because of hectic period symptoms, intense. I couldn't even focus in school. Like I couldn't even sleep at night. That's how bad it was. And the doctor, the town doctor or the local doctor didn't really have knowledge, how to help me. So he put me on birth control and that wrecked my body, like literally for a decade. Now, in saying that, obviously there was already something wrong because it's not normal for a 16-year-old to have such intense periods. Like it's just not normal. That's maybe for someone who's like 30 years old, that might be normal. Still not right, but normal, like I said. But yeah, he put me on that and that just wrecked my body. And over time I used other things, but also everything I tried just made it worse. Eventually the symptoms just got so bad that I went to the doctor and said, this is what I'm experiencing. He basically told me it's in your head. It's just,
okay. Yeah.
The symptoms I was having at that time, he told me it's because you want to be pregnant. So like you're kind of manifesting these symptoms because you want to be pregnant, which absolutely was not the case at that time. I was newly married. We hadn't even been married for 2 years at that time. I think we were married for 2 years. And he just brushed me off. And it took quite a few months more, I think 9 months, before I finally found a doctor that would hear me out, that was experienced with what I was dealing with at that time. And she diagnosed me with PCOS. And that really started my wellness journey because she was informed enough to know that lifestyle changes were the biggest thing that I needed to work on. Obviously, fitness, lifestyle, but there were other pieces that were missing that she didn't inform me of. It took a lot more time for me to actually fall in the other pieces and figure out for myself what was the bigger picture. So that's basically the origin story why I found the wellness industry. But there's a lot more to the story. So
that's good. That's good. I think that is common, obviously not the exact situation, but there's a very common thing because everyone I speak to, and I think I've done 30 odd episodes now. So everyone that I speak to has a origin story, as we call it, has a situation where they face a decline in their health that is not explained by just age or it's something natural and normal. But they've been failed for the most part by the traditional medicine sort of system. And they've had to then look elsewhere. And everyone keeps coming back around to, and you've articulated it quite well there, lifestyle factors. Lifestyle factors sit at the foundation of everything that is your health. And we sort of go on this weird roundabout journey through there's a pull for that system, get failed by that, and then come back to the sort of foundation and go, maybe lifestyle wise something is a little bit misaligned. Maybe there's a couple of things that we can work on. And yeah, it's interesting. I must just apologize to the audience. I'm getting the last of what appears to be the summer sun here in the UK. I'm sat next to a window, and it was lovely and cloudy a few minutes ago, but now it's the sun has come out and is shining full blazes straight in my face, and the curtain doesn't close that part of the window, so I can't do much about it. So I look like I'm bright and shiny, but it's just my sparkling personality coming through. That's all. This episode is brought to you by Biosim Technologies. At Biosim Technologies, we are working to bring you intelligent, AI-powered tools and solutions for human metabolic health and biology-first lifestyle change. To find out more about what we're up to at Biosim Technologies, please see the episode description for the relevant links on how to follow us. So, Christine, let's take a moment and just go through, because that has to have been infuriating for you. And I'm married myself, so I've got a wife and I've got a daughter as well, so I can empathize with the situation. Obviously, I've never been there myself, being a man, so I won't know what you're talking. I personally won't know what you're talking about, but I can empathize. It must be infuriating, and it must have left you with a sense of almost hopelessness to have gone to your medical care practitioner and then to try to get to the root of what's going on, and just to be brushed off like, no, it's in your head. Like you're making this up, basically. Like, talk us through how you go from that process to then seizing agency, because that's what you've done. You've seized agency over your own health, something I tremendously advocate everyone needs to do, and then gone after it sort of hands-on, trying to figure it out yourself.
So yeah, that's been quite a journey, and I continue to learn. Recently meeting people like you and Roderick, who's taught me a lot more that I didn't even know about. So there are more pieces as you grow, as you develop. You know that as your knowledge develops, you figure out, oh, there's more to know. The more you know, the more you have to know. It all expands for you as your knowledge opens up. More questions come to light. So I don't feel like I will ever know everything there is to know. So, as you develop in that area, you improve your life, you make changes. So it's not like you're a complete lifestyle transformation all from the get-go. It's like gradual changes over the years, basically.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot to cover. So I'm trying to figure out like what are the key events that I feel like really pivoted my way or paved my way to where I am now. So, when I found that a gynecologist who actually gave my diagnosis, she kind of like put seeds in my head of, oh, this and this and this. These areas are actually things that people don't discuss that need to be addressed first. And like I said, fitness is a big thing. Eating habits was a big thing, and I was lucky that I was able to change so much in a short period of time that it only took 11 months for me to get that first transformation where I finally fell pregnant with our first child. Which, she told me if you can just lose 10% of your body fat, then usually that kickstarts your hormone cycle, that, everything comes into balance enough for your hormones to balance out, enough for fertility to really improve. So that was the truth that really helped me a lot. But after that was not the end. As you get older, with every life stage, new challenges come up. And over the years, I've had different challenges. I've had 3 early pregnancy losses, partly due to my physiology, but also partly due to my partner's high stress levels at work. Now, you probably know miscarriages are 50% the mom's body and 50% male. So obviously the male's health comes into play there, and we didn't even think about that because I struggled for so long to sort out my own health issues. That was kind of a wake-up call for me to say, like, maybe I need to be more supportive in his health as well, to encourage him to make some changes. which took a long time because he was stuck in a professional environment which did not support him at all. It was very toxic.
Yeah, so, I know what that's like.
Yeah, it's only like many years later that he decided, it can't get any worse than this. Like, I have to get out. And it's been much better since he left that whole industry and came back to our hometown, which is much quieter, much more life balance and a better family situation. So, I had three early losses, partly due to my biology, partly due to his stress levels, and obviously low testosterone also comes into play because of stress and an unhealthy lifestyle. So, other pieces that fell into place that I worked on over time were metabolic health, which is huge. Now, early on in my journey, I kind of had the assumption around if you just eat a certain way, then you'll have a healthy metabolic state, which is not true. There's a lot more involved that I've come to know. And I think what really shocked me was with my most recent pregnancy, my third pregnancy, my third successful pregnancy, it was so bad that I could barely eat in the morning. If I had anything that contained carbs, I had such bad brain fog that I could not think at all, could not focus. It was terrible. I had to actually take a break from my business from the time I was, I think, 4 months pregnant until after, like 4 months after I gave birth. That's how bad it was. And I only realized like midway through my first year postpartum, that's what it was. When I started to change my eating habits again, very drastically, something I never thought I would do. I went basically carnivore for like, I'd say 6 months. And it helped me so quickly. Like, it made such a big difference in such a short time frame. It shocked me. It was like actually fascinating to see how, like, to sense the transformation inside myself. My mental health, my focus, my clarity, productivity, and my energy levels. I struggled a lot during pregnancy, and with postpartum, I remember telling my friend, I don't know why, but I cannot get through one day. I feel physically depleted constantly. And I don't recall that experiencing that with my other two. When after I had my other two, even during the pregnancies, I felt much healthier and more energetic. I don't know why this one was so bad, but when I changed my diet once again, very drastically, now I'm not 100% carnivore anymore, but I did that for a couple of months, and it probably like kick-started something or healed something in my body that was very out of balance. Now I eat very protein focused. Like, I make that a big focus every time I eat. Make sure that there's protein. Eat that first. That really balances out your blood sugars. Even if you do have carbs, eating the protein-containing foods or high-protein food first helps tremendously. And there's other changes also made, like taking a walk. If you do have carbs, take a walk immediately after you eat. And that helps a lot as well. So I don't know if you've tried that.
No, all good. So it almost sounds like your experiment with carnivore worked as a big reset button, and just sort of shook things up, got things back to baseline, and then let you build from there. It's interesting. My wife and I had a string of miscarriages between our two kids as well. So I can empathize that it's not easy to go through. But it's good that you persisted and you got through that, and that speaks a lot to your mental grit and toughness, which I hugely admire. Because I remember with my wife and I, it was 5 miscarriages back to back, and that was hard. It was really, really hard to go through, especially watching her, because I think it's very human for the woman to internalize that. What is wrong with me? Why? What am I doing? Causing this somehow, what's going on? And it's a complex situation to navigate, but you've got through that. You've figured out that it's more than just exercise, which is good. And I think it's natural for us all to have gateways. I speak to Roderick about this quite often. Roderick is very big on light exposure, quite rightly so. But for me, and it's my own bias, I'm a foodie. Food holds a tremendous place in my life. I'm a South African male, so meat and braai and stuff like that. Like food is important. It's the centerpiece of most social occasions. And so for me, the logical gateway into anything health related from a lifestyle perspective is to get the food sorted first. I think we all have those gateways. For some people, it's exercise. Exercise is the gateway in, but it's not the be all end all. So you end up in this place where you're doing the right thing for that particular aspect, and you get some benefit from it, because if you just take a singular aspect of your overall health and you improve that aspect, you will get overall benefit to a degree. But then you'll hit a plateau and you'll stall out and you'll start to wonder why. And then you go down this experience that you've described so well there of starting to understand that there's a lot more to this. Like, it is a complex jigsaw puzzle, and there are a lot of different pieces that you need to start putting in place. And it's almost, a jigsaw puzzle is perhaps the wrong analogy, because it's a journey. You're never going to arrive. You're never going to reach the point of everything's in place and this is the complete picture and that's perfect. It's not going to happen. Your health and wellness is this lifelong process of just doing incremental behavioral things that pursue optimum outcomes. And if you can be consistent with that over time, you'll enjoy good outcomes. But it's that daily discipline that's necessary. And you keep adding to it. So you started with exercise, you figured out nutrition. What other parts of the jigsaw puzzle have you stumbled across in your journey so far?
Well, light exposure, like you said, that's a new piece that came to light for me, that I didn't really, still every time I read one of his posts or something he shared from his network, it's like, wow, another light bulb moment that comes up, and it makes so much sense early in the day when you wake up, getting some sunlight, preferably outside, natural lighting outside, movement, incorporating movement is even much better. So I understand that, there's a lot more, obviously for women. I don't know much about male biology, but for women, what you need to sustain health will change over time. As you reach different health stages, different lifestyle stages, different seasons, pregnancy, motherhood, after that, perimenopause, all of that. Also, that's a huge transition that you can start that transition up to 10 years before you actually feel like these are actually menopausal symptoms or perimenopausal symptoms. You need to set yourself up for that stage way before you get there. So you can't be like, oh, my hormone levels are like this, so this shows I'm in perimenopause. That's almost too late to deal with it, because then you're already in the thick of some of the symptoms, and you can kind of stall the symptoms or make them much less severe if you deal with the changes you need to make way before then. So that's kind of where my mind is right now, like setting up my body and my mental health and my brain health for that stage of my life, because next week, Wednesday, actually, I'm turning 38. And I need to really have that in mind to say, okay, how can I optimize my health in all aspects of my health so that I am better supported and healthier for that stage when I do get there. So the symptoms aren't as severe. I mean, I see statistics about depression and suicide ideation for menopausal women. That's the height of that. That's when those things are the scariest. The highest percentage of women who face that stage of their life, and it's because there's like such a huge dip. When you hit that stage, that it really affects your mental health. And I want to make sure that you can't ever do something where absolutely I will avoid this situation. You don't know that, but I want to set myself up so that if that does happen, or if I do get to that stage, the symptoms are far less severe, and I can actually deal with it. I can still go through daily life mostly normally, and I can still care for those who depend on me. I can still run my business. I can still be productive and effective. Obviously, we'll still have some symptoms, but I want to make sure that they are the least severe as possible, or I can actually deal with them without medication. That's for me is the ideal, to deal with them through lifestyle stages or lifestyle changes, nutrition and fitness, those kind of things. And
so
then also
you're describing You're describing quite an important paradigm shift, and I just want to take a second to sit on that for a moment, because what you're describing is a move away from conventional approach to health and wellness. And what I mean by that, the conventional approach to health and wellness is people assume that their health is going to be perfect. And they assume everything is fine, and they carry on as though everything's fine up until the point that it's not, and it starts to fail. And then, in a reactionary way, they then want to go seek out the help of a specialist, get a diagnosis, and then get some sort of a treatment to fix what's gone wrong. What people don't tend to appreciate, and this was a learning curve for me as well, getting into the health and wellness space, is that for things to get to the point where they go wrong and you start to become symptomatic, you're talking from a lifestyle disease perspective. And I just want to take that a moment to demarcate that we're not talking infectious disease here. We're not talking about you picking up a bug or an ailment that is infectious. You're talking about something that's chronic and non-infectious, non-communicable disease. That takes time. There are situations and environments and things that you expose yourself to and are exposed to, perhaps unknowingly, that take time to degrade your metabolic health to the point where disease can start to onset and symptoms can start to manage. What you're describing is the shift from that approach to health to a preventative mindset, where you're actively doing things in the pursuit of trying to make sure that your health is optimized such that you prevent the onset of disease and at least minimize the negative symptoms of aging down the line. And that's such a hugely important mindset change. And I really wish we could get this to resonate with people before they hit that health crisis that tends to be the catalyst to them then waking up and doing something. Like, I wish we could get people to understand that setting up your lifestyle with a preventative health mindset is the best thing that you could possibly do.
Yeah. I think the easiest way for me to give like an example of this mindset. There's two different mindsets that are very opposing. Where over the years, I've been part of a lot of support groups in Facebook around PCOS and infertility. Mm-hmm. Now, there are two camps, or there are different mindsets in this with people who are diagnosed. So a lot of them say, this upsets me, this diagnosis, because this means I will struggle to get pregnant. That means that I will struggle to lose weight, that I will one day or could one day have diabetes. For me, it's more about, okay, this just means that I may have a high risk of these challenges. Yeah. I might struggle with fertility. I have a high risk of developing diabetes, heart disease, even cancer. In some cases, when you miss your periods for a length of time, or you go through that cycle where you have 3 to 6 months missed periods over and over your lifetime. That's one reason why birth control is bad for your health. Just, birth control that makes it so that you don't have a period at all. For those people who don't know. Many other reasons which I won't go into now. I'll make other videos about that. But there are a lot of things that are connected to PCOS where it will raise your risk of certain conditions or certain problems. That's all it means to me. That just means that now I'm informed about my health risks, and I can take the steps and make changes to ensure that I manage those risks and I keep them as low as possible. So that just means I cannot be negligent about my health. It actually empowers me, because now I know more about my biology than some other people who may not have reached a diagnosis yet, or they don't have any pre-existing conditions. So I know more about my body possibly than other people who don't have PCOS or don't have any health conditions. But I've over time learned a lot about my body, and I'm more in tune with my body because of the bad symptoms I've experienced and the transformations, like going from that to now being healthy. And when I do eat the way that I feel like I should not, I immediately feel the effect it has on my body. Like it's within 20 minutes, I feel the brain fog when I don't eat the right way. Like some mornings where I'm too lazy to pack my breakfast and I just grab a sandwich. It's like within 20 minutes, my eyes feel like really like hazy almost, and I get brain fog. It's like it's shocking. So I feel like I'm more empowered about my health to make the healthy choices than if I were not diagnosed or I did not have this condition. So I actually feel like it's almost like a good thing, if you can say it like that. Obviously, I went through bad experiences and the losses were terrible and it still makes me sad to think about it. But I know there are many good things that came from it, if I can say it like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. You're taking the positives and applying lessons learned, which is tremendously empowering for the future, which is good. So you've touched on two things there that I want to just quickly sit on. The first is there's the two camps and the two mindsets, and then I would articulate it as you've got people who sit out there, and it's not their fault. It's more the fault of how the mainstream has communicated the message over recent decades. When we started to understand DNA and genetic predispositions to things, the mainstream put it across as a set in stone thing, which it's not. We now understand through the study of epigenetics that, yes, certain people have certain genes or certain mutations of genes that predispose them to certain things. For example, the men in my family, my grandfather and my father, have both had prostate cancer. So genetically speaking, there's something in us that predisposes us to that, and we carry a higher risk than, say, some other males. So for me, I could sit and say, well, my grandfather's had it, my father's had it, it's like, I'm going to get it. Well, no, not really. If you understand a little bit about epigenetics, you understand that gene expression is turned on or off through lifestyle and environmental factors. So it's not set in stone. The risk is there, and maybe you've got a higher risk than someone else, but you can, through lifestyle and through environment, turn that gene expression on or off such that you can either mitigate the risk or you can increase it. That, for me, is hugely empowering, because that means that there's actually something I can do. I can take agency of it, and I can make changes that mean that my personal risk is lowered. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to get it. It's not set in stone. I can do many things depending on my discipline and depending on where it sits in my value system. I can do many things to try and make sure that I don't get it. That's a huge mindset shift. And I think it's a hugely empowering one. And it's one I wish more people would take. Small little lifestyle changes sustained over time can hugely change your health outcomes. And it's because you're altering your gene expression. So that's one thing. Then the other thing that you touched on, and it's just jumped right out of my mind. So give me a second and I'll try and get it back. Oh, what was it? It was a good little nugget of information. No, it's gone. It'll come back to me.
Those moments, yeah. What I just thought of when you said turning that on and off, what science has proven now recently that most people might not know is there are certain things that you can do, like things you can eat, things you do that is not supportive to your body, that damages DNA, and it ages you rapidly. But there are also certain things that, you can probably explain the concept of a telomere. Now, I don't have all the information to adequately explain all of that, but basically you can lengthen them again. So you can damage them, but you also lengthen them through making certain changes. There are many ways to do that. So when you've damaged your DNA, that doesn't mean, now you will age rapidly and your life expectancy is more limited. You can actually reverse that. There are many ways to reverse that. And, if you know more, you can do better. You know better, you can do better. So that's also something that I want people to consider, that just because you made bad choices in the past or you're still stuck in bad habits, that does not mean that you're now, just left up to fate and now it just is what it is.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, so telomeres, I won't get into the specifics of the biology itself, but it's the length of your telomeres is a marker of genetic health or genetic age, or biological age. And they shorten over your lifespan naturally. It's part of the aging process. But as you've correctly said, there are certain things that you do can increase the speed of that aging at a biological level. So your chronological age, which is the number of years you are alive, is not the same as your biological age. And I think people need to separate that. And then we'll get to why that's important in a moment. But the shorter your telomeres, the older you are biologically. The longer your telomeres, the younger you are biologically. Your chronological age is something that you cannot change. Like that's just the passage of time, and it is what it is. I'm 40 this year. You're going to be 38 next week. It's just how it is. But our biological age can change. And we can, through lifestyle and environment, either increase or decrease our biological age. So increase or decrease our telomere length. Now, the reason that distinction is important is because, again, it comes down to things that give people agency. Like, for me, it's incredibly empowering to know that I can seize agency over my lifestyle and my environment, and I can choose to make changes and influence my power or will over the things that I can control, such that I'm able to increase the length of my telomeres, which means I'm decreasing my biological age. So I'm 40, but biologically speaking, if I was to go and get tested, there's potential that the tests would come back confirming that I've got the biological age of like a 32-year-old, for argument's sake. I've not had a test, so I'm just speculating at this point in time. But that is the result of looking after yourself with what I would call a metabolic health mindset. So if you're looking after your nutrition, your movement and exercise, your sleep, your light exposure, your grounding, and there's various other factors that you can add to that as well. But for me, those are the 5 foundational ones. Then you are increasing the chance that you are biologically as young as possible, which means that you're going to have the best possible health span for as long as possible through your chronological lifespan. And that's really how you want it to be. Modern consensus has this understanding human health is you sort of born and you're healthy and everything's fine, and you hit your 20s and then it starts to steadily decline, and that's just aging. That's not the case. I think, and the research suggests, that your health span should be high all the way through to your 80s or your 90s. And if you're looking after yourself, it'll be high, and you'll be tack sharp, and you'll be with it and functional and able to do everything. And then toward the end there somewhere, save for some trauma or some unforeseen disease or accident, infectious disease that is, at some point in your 80s, 90s, maybe you even one of the rare ones who make a century, your health will fall off a cliff and you'll die. But that's how human health should work. It should be high throughout your life, and then at the end it should fall off. This slow decline into chronic disease that people suffer with for decades until they eventually die, and their death comes as a relief to everyone around them who's been having to look after them and watch their suffering. That is not how humans are meant to age. That really is not how we're meant to age. We're meant to be healthy and tap sharp and functioning, and then fall off a cliff at some point at the end and then be gone. Yeah. And yeah, I really wish people would get their heads wrapped around that we're not meant to suffer for decades before we eventually pass. We should be healthy.
I think, to cap this off, I think what we can get back to is a lot of what you just shared is a result of our modern age, like how what we've developed. Our knowledge and acquiring of our knowledge and our development as a species has both helped us but also harmed us. It's brought into our lifestyle and habits a lot of things that aren't biologically healthy for us. Maybe they make your life more convenient, more pleasurable, but they aren't exactly healthy. They can actually destroy health very rapidly, depending on how much of that and how frequently you consume that or expose yourself to that. Yeah. So like different, very extremely processed foods, there are many things that people feel they assume it's healthy, but it's actually hyper processed. So there's very little nourishment, and actually the can I say negative ingredients, processed ingredients can actually damage your health. So it's not really nutritious. It's like garbage that you feed your body, and it breaks down more rapidly because you've consumed it. So there's a lot of other stuff like manufactured light that's also bad for your health for many reasons. All the technology we expose ourselves to, Wi-Fi, there is no limit to everything that we can go into here. So what I want to get after is the more you take away from this. So the more things you can eliminate that are modern inventions. Take those things away or remove those things from your lifestyle, from you're exposed to less of those things, the more it's going to help you. So you talk about evolutionary health or, your biological health, get back to basics, to how we lived like hundreds of years ago. Yes, there are bad aspects of that, like infectious disease. That part of it obviously is not something we're not going to get into. That's something that did, in some aspects, it did improve over time. I'm talking about like modern inventions is how that actually harms our health. Reduce all of the things that are manufactured and get back to what you find in nature. Expose yourself more to the natural elements, natural foods, non-processed foods, whole foods, natural light. Getting back to all those things that will actually enhance your health. So it's like that opposite, that's really harsh opposites that you need to get back to what we lived like hundreds of years ago. Then you'll also help to reverse your aging or to slow the aging process.
Yeah, I would articulate it just a little bit differently. I think you're absolutely spot on. But if I was to share a message today, how I would articulate it is, since the Industrial Revolution, we have unfortunately used our ingenuity to make life as convenient as possible. Like everything is practically focused on convenience. We outsource our movement, we outsource our effort, we make life as comfortable and convenient as possible. And unfortunately, human biology is not set up for convenience. We just aren't. Our very cells have specific input requirements that don't align well with convenience. For example, it's very convenient to be sat sedentary all the time. It's very unhealthy to be sat sedentary all the time, demonstrably so. There's no debate. Fact. But if people can, and I wouldn't suggest that we need to live how we lived hundreds of years ago, because I think that scares people and it also comes across as impractical. The way I would articulate it is, if people could educate themselves slightly on the biological inputs that they require. So, for example, nutrition. We have set essential nutrients that we have to get from our diet because our body needs them and cannot make them itself, either at all or at least not in adequate quantities for what we need. So we have to get our essential nutrients, and we have to get them in forms that our bodies can actually use. Focus your diet on that. That will lead you down a certain path. I don't need to tell you what that path is. You can figure it out for yourself. Essential nutrients in the bioavailable forms, and your nutrition will be sorted. We have movement requirements. Our body literally requires movements. Transduction is the phrase. Mechanotransduction is how external movement and forces literally tell your cells how to adapt and what to do. Bones to thicken, muscles to grow, movements to be maintained. Like you need to move. You're made to move. Your body expects it. And when you don't move, things go very horribly south. And a great example for this, and it's an extreme example, but it's probably the most apt one. The reason that falls are such a problem for the elderly is not the fall itself. It's being stuck sedentary after the fall while they wait for the hip or the broken bone or whatever it is to heal, because their health falls off a cliff as a result of being sedentary. And you can see this in elderly people that you know, and many of the viewers will be able to relate to this, because you say, take grandma or Aunt Bessie or whoever, who was fit as a fiddle, functional, still going out, doing her own shopping, carrying on, has an unfortunate fall, broken hip or whatever the case may be, ends up in bed sedentary. Within 2 weeks, her health has fallen off a cliff. She's not the same person. She's withering away, can't talk anymore, can't think for herself, can't look after herself, and then a month, if that, later is gone, no longer with you. And that wasn't the fall. The fall was just a broken hip. It's being sedentary that resulted in the health falling off a cliff. So you have to have movement. We're made requiring movement. It's just the way that we are. Then sleep. Sleep is massively important. I used to be the type of idiot who prided myself on being able to function with very little sleep. Sleepless elite was the online tag that everyone sort of bounded around, but stupidity. When you understand the processes of sleep, sleep is not just shutting off. Sleep is an incredibly metabolically expensive process, and there's a lot of things that happen during sleep that don't happen at any other time of day. And you need to get the right quantity and quality. It's hugely important for your health. Light exposure, and we could probably distill that to circadian biology, understanding that you are set up requiring certain types of behavior at certain times of day, and it's all aligned with the natural rising and setting of the sun. And if you understand circadian biology, you can understand how to set up your daily routines to bring out the optimal expression of your genes and your health. So yeah, people, you don't need to live like it was hundreds of years ago. You can live here now in 2025. But if you understand the basics of your biology and what your biology requires, you can build a lifestyle which services that at the foundational level and give yourself the very best expression of health over the longevity of your life, hopefully.
Yeah, that's really good. I love that you said it's possible to do that in modern society and still living like in the inner city or wherever you find yourself. I just like to say go back to 100 years ago because I live on a farm and when we go camping, we're roughing it when we're camping. So
nice.
We don't mind that, but I know some other people might not find that really like fun.
Yeah, well, my wife doesn't camp. I quite enjoy camping. Grew up camping, got no issue with it. My wife, no, like she might do an RV that has like hot running water and electricity and
glamping.
Yeah, glamping, but on steroids. I might convince her to do that, but no. I think it's hugely important for people to understand that in today's age, as much as we've used our technology and ingenuity to remove ourselves from the kind of environment that our physiology requires, we can still set up our lifestyle such that we maximize our health potential. I work a sedentary day job. I have young children, one of whom has special needs. So it's very easy for me to fall into what we call the traditional dad bod trap. Quite easily, I could be sedentary for the majority of the day, busy looking after the kids, trying to put their needs first, blah, 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 stresses of work and providing for the family and all that sort of stuff. I could very easily make all the modern excuses for why I'm not looking after myself, but I understand that, no, I do need to look after myself and I do need to make an effort to place it high enough on my priority list that it's done. And I have daily discipline. So I work out regularly. I make sure I get into bed at a decent hour and I try and get an adequate amount of sleep. I make sure that I'm eating correctly. I try as best possible to align my routine and behaviors with my circadian biology. So I'm working out in the middle of the day. For me, over my lunch break, I'll sacrifice. I don't eat lunch. I'll do a workout instead. So I'm getting that movement in during the peak sort of hours of where my body would naturally expect to be moving. And then at night, I go to sleep. And there's no one-size-fits-all approach to this, but if you understand the basics of your biological requirements, you can figure out one step at a time, little incremental changes that lead you towards better outcomes.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, Christine, I think we've covered pretty good ground for today, but we can definitely follow up with some more episodes later down the line. Thank you very much for your time. Something I like to ask my guests is if there's one thing from today's episode that you have that you want to resonate with the audience, that one takeaway, that one little nugget of information that they really sit with, what would that be for you?
I'd say, you can't really make a difference in this world. You can't work towards your vision if you do not do that while prioritizing your health. You will be much more effective and successful if your mental health, brain health, and physical health are in tune. So you cannot afford to neglect that. That is not something that you are too busy to handle. You cannot afford not to handle that. You have to keep that as a priority. So I think people really need to consider that.
No, I like that. And I think that comes back down to the mind shift change that we spoke about at the beginning. If you understand that your health is your most valuable asset, the preventative health mindset makes a lot more sense, because I think you're absolutely right. You cannot afford not to prioritize your health, because when your health falls, everything in life becomes secondary. Everything in life becomes secondary when your health fails. And you don't want to get to that point. You don't want to leave it till it's failing before you then start paying attention to it, because you're late. And there's better ways to do it.
Yeah.
Well, Christine, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Thanks. Thanks, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching the episode. I hope that you found the conversation meaningful and informative, and I hope that it has empowered you with some tools and insights that you can take to tweak and improve your own lifestyle approach in pursuit of optimal metabolic health outcomes. If you've enjoyed the episode, and if you're enjoying the podcast, I'd like you to do me the kindness of please subscribing to the channel, giving it a like, maybe even giving it a share. Help to raise awareness and get the podcast in front of as many viewers as possible, because it is my passion to try and help as many people as possible to understand more of the nuance around metabolic health and how to tweak their lifestyle in pursuit of optimal outcomes. Also, if you have any constructive feedback, things that you think I could improve on, any critiques, any criticisms, please do feed them back. I give you my solemn word that I will take them seriously, and I will, to the best of my ability, work to improve and to give you a more refined and more targeted product as a result of your feedback. So I will take it seriously, and I'll do what I can to improve the show. But again, thank you very much for watching. Keep thriving.